Hello again, class. Welcome to another edition of our class, Ethics in Criminal Justice. This is Chapter 2, Determining Moral Behavior. Chapter 2, Objectives. Become familiar with the major ethical systems and the criticisms leveled against each other. Become familiar with other ways to resolve ethical dilemmas in addition to the ethical systems. Understand the controversy between relativism and absolutism. And become familiar with how the major ethical systems have relevance to issues in criminal justice. And finally, learn how to apply the major ethical systems to ethical dilemmas. We need to know what deontological and teleological ethical systems are. A deontological ethical system is one that is concerned solely with the inherent nature of the act being judged. Ethical formalism is a deontological system because the important determinant for judging whether an act is moral is not its consequences, but only the motive or intent of the actor. Teleological systems judge the consequences of an act. Utilitarianism is a teleological ethical system. What is good is determined by the consequences of the action. There are also other ethical systems. The first one being religion. Religious ethics includes Judeo-Christian ethics, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Islam. Natural law. In the natural law ethical system, there is a universal set of rights and wrongs that is similar to many religious beliefs, but there is no reference to a specific supernatural figure. Excuse me. The ethics of virtue. The ethics of virtue asks the question, what is a good person? Ethics of care. The ethics of care emphasizes human relationships and needs. The ethics of care has been described as a feminine morality because women in all societies are the child bearers and consequently seem to have a greater sensitivity to issues of care. Know this, Carol Gilligan's work on moral development identified a feminine approach to ethical dilemmas that focuses on relationships and needs instead of rights and universal laws. Applying the ethics of care leads not to different solutions necessarily, but to different questions. Eastern religions, such as Taoism, are consistent with the ethics of care. Know this, the restorative justice movement is consistent with the ethics of care. Braswell and Gold in 2002 discuss a concept called peacemaking justice, connectedness, caring, and mindfulness. Egoism postulates that what is good for one's survival and personal happiness is moral. Psychological egoism refers to the idea that humans naturally are egoists and that it would be unnatural for them to be any other way. Enlightened egoism may mean that one should treat others as we would want them to treat us to ensure cooperative relations. Even seemingly selfless and altruistic acts are consistent with egoism, since these acts benefit the individual by giving self-satisfaction. Capitalism is based on the premise that everyone pursuing his or her self-interest will create a healthy economy. Egoism is rejected by most philosophers because it violates the basic tenets of an ethical system. Do people do things solely for altruistic reasons, or are there always hidden motives and egoistic agendas operating? I want you to think about that question. Relativism and absolutism. And just before we get started here, I do not believe in relativism. There are two main arguments for relativism. There are many different moral standards of behavior. We do not know how to determine the absolute rules. Do you believe that there are no absolute moral truths and that morality is simply an individual's definition of right and wrong? If you answered yes, then are you also saying that child molesters and cannibals have the right to decide which behaviors are acceptable for them? Like I said, I do not believe in relativism, and I think too often in this postmodern society that people make decisions solely for themselves. Just in my personal opinion, I do believe in a higher authority, which negates relativism. So here are the conclusions. Ethical systems are ordered principles that define what is right or good. Each of these ethical systems answers the question, what is good, in a different way. Relativism and absolutism are contrary principles. This is an important chapter because it gives you the undergirding to understand ethics. Remember in my opening videos, I said I wanted you to understand ethics from all angles. Understanding egoism, understanding deontological systems, teleological systems, and so forth and so on. These give you different lenses, so to speak, to think about ethics and criminal justice. I want to thank you for viewing this chapter 2. God bless every one of you.